This is pro secret type stuff here. And we talked about motivation. And quickly, let's review that one more time. Home teams that don't have anything to play for tend to play harder. And the stats back that up, the history. Also, teams on a losing streak because they don't want to finish the year losing that third, that fourth game. Carolina is a team on a long losing streak. They'd be very motivated to get a win to end the year. Finally, also Carolina is division. If you got one team that has something clearly to play for, now in this case you don't in the Saints, but the other team you're wondering, what are they playing for? Well, if it's in division, they not only want to win that game, but they want to be spoiler, right? Play spoiler like Cincinnati, obviously, would be an example of that. Okay, but Fez, you are a master of derivatives, of the kind of bets that the average bettor doesn't make, but the professional bettor, well, that bettor, he does.
In all the 5 boroughs, I'm known. I'm known all over the world.
That's Fez, and a lot of that has to do with your derivative betting. To me, I think Week 17 offers such a big opportunity. Why? Because of the scoreboard watching and the way one game can affect another game, and it be something you bet into parlays, into 2-teamers, 3-teamers, figuring if one thing happens, the chance goes up that the other thing happens. Now, in years past, you could actually bet these parlays where one was some of the games were a 1 o'clock start, some were a 4 o'clock Eastern start, and boy, oh boy, it was like you really had the correlation. Here, it's not as obvious, but it's about scoreboard watching. So in general, how do you, as a professional bettor, NFL expert, Steve Fezzik, approach the correlations and scoreboard watching in Week 17?
Yeah, well, I try to look at the team that has the most to gain from another team losing. So let's look at the Chargers, for instance. They could still become the #1 seed if Kansas City loses. They can win the division, but KC has to lose. So we know the Chargers are going to be looking up at the scoreboard with Kansas City. If Kansas City's up 21-0 at halftime, the natural reaction, if I'm the Chargers, deflation, hey, our game really doesn't mean
Maybe
anything.
Start sitting some guys. Okay, and if you look at the number, though, hey, the Chargers are a big favorite. It really doesn't seem to be built into the number that some of these bigger favorites, Chargers are a good example, could be deflated.
Exactly right, because right now they've got something to play for, but by halftime it might be clear that they don't.
So now you can say, okay, figure out, let's use the Chargers and Kansas City as an example. Figure out which of those 4 teams, those 2 and their opponents, you like as a pick the best. Let's just say you think Kansas City is going to roll. Like you really feel it. Okay, maybe you bet Kansas City to cover the big number. Or maybe you bet Kansas City to cover the big number in a 2-team parlay with Denver, figuring if Kansas City wins, and in a 2-teamer, if Kansas City doesn't win, your second pick doesn't even matter. If Kansas City wins and covers, then the chance of the Chargers winning goes down. Thus, the chance of Denver winning / covering, more covering, goes up. Why? Because of that deflation effect.